Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from a 25th dimension during my last BQH Beyond Quantum Healing hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm talking about the hypnotist who was reading me questions I'd prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means that the answers are coming from a 25th dimension. Before we move forward, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And please do give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me. And leave a comment below the video because we have a super great community here. And we're all benefiting from each other's comments and see what people are going through. So definitely join us. We would love to have you. All right, I'm going to start reading here. So here we go. Lorrayne. So you have told us that the movement of upward, which supports the concept of ascension, is not real, that there is no movement. It is all now. But you've also told us that everything flows in the multiverse. In ancient Greek philosophy, there were two philosophers who condensed the nature of reality down to two opposite truths. One said that everything is static, and the other that everything moves. Which one was right? In case you're curious, I took philosophy in high school and I loved it. So in case you're curious, the one who said that everything is static is Parmenides. I don't know how you say it in English, Parmenides. And the one who said that everything moves was Heraclitus. And the way that he said this was Pantarei. You may have heard, if you've studied philosophy, you'll recognize this. This was the foundation of Greek philosophy, which again is considered to be the foundation of our Western philosophy. So I was really curious. All right, me. And they were laughing. The 25th was laughing at this question. Clea has had a lot of fun with this. She's been obsessing over this question since she learned about this in high school. But basically both concepts, and it just depends on what perspective, again, you're looking at things from. Now, everything is alive in the multiverse because everything is alive because everything is source. And source is what we consider to be alive. It's always creating, it's always bubbling, it's always expanding. It's as alive as it gets. And therefore, we are alive, and what we create is alive. At the same time, so everything moves really. We talked about the fact that it's music, sound moves. It's waves really, it's energy. Energy is always, it's never static. There's no static energy. And so really the one philosopher was right when he said everything moves. At the same time, the reason why the other philosopher says, no, everything is steady is because he was looking at, if you focus your attention at one point, is that point the same or not? And really, we talked about this. There is no time, and therefore everything is happening right now. And so if you think about it in those terms, if everything is happening right now, it is static, meaning it doesn't matter which point I'm focusing on. It is there. It's not moving. It's right there. So both of these philosophers they tapped in. They had very good intuitions about the nature of the universe, and they were both right. But really, at the end of the day, really the one who said everything moves, if you really are asking in general terms, that's it. Everything moves because we're alive. Energy is never equal to itself. Energy is always different. Energy is always expanding. Source is expanding. So everything moves. And here's the funny thing is that anybody who knows me knows this, that one of my favorite things to say is that we don't have to be equal to ourselves. We're not an equation. We can change, at any time. So, so it's funny that they said this because I had been wondering about it for the longest time. So this was just a fun question for me. All right, Lorrayne, thank you. Do animals on this planet see fairies and gnomes since they do not have our self-imposed limitations? Me. Yes, they do. They can. But no, they don't have to. They're just like us in that sense. If they don't want to, if they don't want to see them, they don't have to. But yeah, they can. Normally they would. They have no reason not to see them, Lorrayne, naturally. And she was laughing. Do fairies help people and animals in need since they have magic? What does fairy magic do? Me. Lorrayne, you should tell us that. You see fairies, and they were laughing. Lorrayne has told us in a previous video that she's been seeing fairies forever. So fairies, so they don't really get involved because they also know the rules of this planet. They see them. They see that we ignore them. They understand. It's almost like we're going about our way, so they don't really get involved in our reality. However, they could if they wanted to. They could make something better or create a little bit of happiness, perhaps for a person, maybe for a baby who's having a hard time or whatever. But this is really up to them. They can, but generally speaking, we have rules here, so they don't. They don't really allow themselves to upset our reality. Because again, they're aware of how things work, just like we'll be aware on New Earth. And we would never go into another planet and be like, oh, I could fix this for you in a second and just switch the whole thing. You don't do that because that's disrespectful of the experience that the essence wants to have. So yes, so generally speaking, they don't get involved, but they do have magic. So technically they can change things. They could. Lorrayne. I've seen fairies for most of my life, and I have, other than them absconding the things that they find fascinating and interesting and playing little games of hide and seek, I've never known them to interfere or impose their magic, quote unquote, onto our reality. But they are pretty playful, so they do like to take pretty things. Me. Yeah, but they're not really changing the world, and you notice and you see them because you see them and it's okay to see them, so they know it's okay to do those things around you. Lorrayne, yes, they're pretty funny. I enjoy them. Okay, did the Dark now realize that balance was important? It seems that after one reset, they would have realized that they didn't like the game anymore, and that's why they made 4 more resets. Did they not learn anything? Even now they want to reset again. Me. Yeah, so the Dark, again, just like the rest of us, they really don't, it just depends on, you might think, oh, this is a great idea. And then a week from now, you're like, what was I thinking? And that's exactly how they have been. So many times they just, they didn't realize, they didn't know that the end game would be like, oh, now we have to take this down. That's how much we've all screwed up. They also assumed that the team of the light would be using the same techniques, and therefore we would be, we would be helping to keep the balance. So they knew balance was important. They just didn't realize how much better they were pushing the balance in their direction. That's what's happened. And so, yeah, they were testing different things. But of course, when it was bad all around, like the Ice Age, they did change that fairly quickly. So they've also been learning through this process. So no, they didn't realize. They just, they went with the flow. And clearly, we all came up with ideas, on the side of the light that weren't so great. Lorrayne. Okay, so this is a long paragraph on time, the nature of time. Things happen or come into creation that were not there before. So is that not a time sequence? Even if once they've been created, you can experience them in the now, as in they're happening right now forever. When you say there is no past and no future, and we're just focusing on a different experience now, like this takedown, does it mean that all experiences are simultaneously available in the multiverse and we just happen to collectively focus on this takedown experience right now? So this is what is real in the present to us? Me. Correct. Our focus determines what is real to us, but everything is available. So if I want to switch my focus to a different reality, all this takedown, you're all sorry. It cracks me up the 25th now starting to use Southern accent. So if I want to switch my focus to a different reality, all this takedown y'all are dealing with would not be real to me anymore. I could pretend that it happened, 50 years ago in the history books, like the people in 3D. They're pretending that governments were 50 years ago. That's what we mean by everything is available. Everything is already there. Now, as an essence, this is what causes the confusion. In fact, there are more questions and you're welcome to read them, but we want to explain this. The confusion, the reason that Clea is confused is because she's thinking, when we have a new experience, as in, I want to try another experience tomorrow. Say, let's even talk about it in 3 terms. Say tomorrow I want to go and become a surgeon. So now I'm starting going to medical school. There was a period of my life when I had not gone to medical school. So whether it's not time, we're not using time, but we're still seeing a before and after, meaning the medical school experience didn't happen until I found an interest in that. And therefore now just becomes an experience that's available out there to be relived at any point, you know, in 100 years or while I'm on a different planet. I can go and relive because it's happening right now. Clea is going to medical school. So this before and after, the sequence, quote unquote, doesn't mean that there's time, and there isn't. We're trying to explain time is just the way that we explain these things. But what happens is that an essence is interested in this one experience on the left, and all of a sudden the essence thinks, well, I'm bored with this. What can I come up with? I think I would like to experience it this way on the right. And that's all that happens. It's just an experience after another. And again, after also the term is time, because unfortunately, this is how we express everything here on this planet. But basically what happens is just the essence came up with something new. It's all our imagination. And because this concept exists, because we know this is how life works, which is I'm doing this and then I'm no longer doing that. I'm doing this. Then we think, oh, this is before and after. This is like when the second experience didn't exist. It means that the past was the first experience. We have created all these concepts around that, but the truth is there is no time. So what happens is the second that the experience comes to be, the experience is. If at any point in the future, anyone else in the future is interested in living this experience, it now is. It's still there. So we say, for example, we're not interested in the experience of the other 3D planets right now because we're so engrossed with our own experience. We can go back 1,000 years from now, what we consider to be 1,000 years, even 1,000 lives from now. We can go and check out what's happening there. It will be right there. And that's what we mean by there is no time. It's just something that is happening, that is always happening. That happening is starting when the essences are interested in starting it. They were not interested before. In that sense, you can think of before and after. But again, it's not correct. They hadn't gotten to it yet. They hadn't manifested it yet. And therefore, it was not existing. But now it exists. It exists always. It exists always in the present. I don't know if that clarifies things. I love when, this whole concept of time, I think I'm wrapping my mind more around it as I hear these explanations, but this whole concept of time is quite challenging. So, Lorrayne, I love your previous analogy. I can't remember when, but it's like a movie. So if you have a shelf full of DVDs, you're going to choose one of them, and one could be back in the time of dinosaurs, if in fact they did or didn't exist. But they're all in different time frames, quote unquote, and we can experience them just by pulling it out and having the experience. Me. Yeah, pretty much. Clea was mostly curious about the fact that technically, if an experience did not exist before the essence experienced it, then we can say there was a before the experience, before the time that the essence was actually interested in manifesting this experience. But again, time is not, it's just something that we use to express that concept. But really what is happening in reality is that we're just bounding, we're just living. We're just experiencing ourselves, and we come up with new things all the time. That's it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.